do this, but she's a little tiny. And I just picked her up. She just, you could just see her eyes were just like, "Aw, I'm ready to go home." Like, that's what her-
Me too.
Soon. She was the last class of the day, so she was. It's a long day for those little.
We are muted and we are live. I think. It says, yes, I think it's caught
I
up.
got the alert. I subscribe.
Yes, I think we're, ooh, you can subscribe. Oh my gosh, I'm learning all of this new stuff.
I know.
Let me get us back to our Zoom. And make sure we are sharing our screen. Let me get back to it. Kelsey, you can't see the slides, can you?
I can see your screen. I can see the slides.
All right, let me make sure when I start them, I got all these things in the way. Now, can you see them better?
I can full screen.
Good. And we can see you. Yay! This is how it's supposed to be. For now, I can't see the slides. What happened there? Hold on. We need to see them. There we go. But you can still see them, correct?
Yes, I can.
Awesome. So can the audience.
Yay.
Hello, everybody out there in YouTube land. Welcome to our Sarah Smith Go Team business meeting number 1. It is 3:01 and we are starting close to on time. Right?
Ready?
I'm gonna turn it
Yes.
over to you.
Okay, this is a call to order. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Sarah Smith Go Team meeting where we will follow the agenda as it has been emailed to you and shared publicly on the Go Team website. I would like to remind everyone that this is a meeting of the Go Team. Only members of the team may participate in the discussion. Any members of the public who are present and here to quietly observe. Any members of the public who are present are here to quietly observe. For members of the Go Team, please identify yourself when you speak so that our stakeholders online can know who's talking. I am pleased to call this meeting of Sarah Smith Go Team to order at 3:02. Our first order of business is to call roll. The secretary will now take roll.
All right. Just say everyone is nice, right?
Yep.
Stacy.
I'm
Sarah,
here.
Yes, Elizabeth Zelinsky,
Present.
Ann Mintman,
Present.
Simona,
Present.
Jennifer Moore,
Present.
and Chisa Carter,
Yes, sir. Carter is here.
Chisa, Chris Stewart, LaQuisha,
Keisha gets.
Kelsey Bunker,
Present.
and myself, Javier Guisarri. I'm here. We
Ooh,
have a quorum.
we have an excellent quorum.
Wait, the chair will only be able to take official action if the quorum is present. Is the quorum present?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so now we will approve the agenda. Our first order of business is to approve the agenda that was provided to you and copies are available online. Are there any changes to the agenda?
No.
If there are no changes, may I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
A second?
I second Ann Mintman.
All in favor, please say aye so that the secretary can record your vote.
Aye.
All opposed, thank you. All opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? Thank you. We will review and approve the meeting minutes from our last meeting. The minutes have been provided to you and they are available online on the Go Team website. If there are no further corrections to the minutes, may I have a motion to approve the meeting's minutes?
I, Elizabeth Zelinsky, make a motion to approve the last meeting's minutes.
A second?
I second Keisha Smith.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Are there any abstentions? Thank you. So we will now turn over our meeting to Principal Perot, who will do the first discussion item on our agenda, which is the strategic plan.
Yes, and what I wanted to do as we go through, it kind of made sense to start with the strategic plan and what those priorities were, then share some data and then look at SMART goals and then share some more data. So if you guys are okay, it's all in that discussion area, but I might jump a little bit out of order because as I was rehearsing, because that's what I do, and I make my family listen, I decided it had a better flow. So we're going to look at the strategic plan that is ending, that you guys are very familiar with because you've been operating off of it. And it has all of our goals that we've been working on for the past 4 or 5 years, because it was from 21 to 25. And the big thing that I want to point out is that last year in budget decision time in December, you all ranked the school priorities, the strategic plan priorities. And so I really did, this was a great opportunity being new to the school to really dig in to see how you all ranked everything. It all made so much sense now that I've been here for 33 school days today. And so when we get ready to look at the our SMART goals for this year, I aligned several of these priorities where they fit in with our school continuous improvement plan. Do you see a need to kind of go over them? You'll see them again in the numbers, but essentially we started with having high expectations, trust, and communication, which that is something I know we're working on. Then keeping that IB focus, literacy, making sure everybody has success in math and literacy, making sure we're offering a rigorous curriculum that involves the STEM areas, having a well-rounded curriculum that addresses social emotional learning, which then connected to the CARE team, which is the whole child intervention team, making sure we're addressing all the needs of all of our students, making sure we're doing professional learning to address all those things, and making sure that we are inclusive of all stakeholders. And so that was my studying last night to kind of get that as we go through. I have 10 slides that have so much information. I sent them to you last night, so I'm sure you've studied them and are prepared for the pop quiz we're going to have. I'm going to start with milestones because to me that feels like we're closing last year. Then we'll look at the goals that the school that we developed together and our action steps that we planned from that. And then we'll look at MAP, how we're starting the year is kind of how but I wanted to focus that we have 10. And so as we go through, we're going to do this instead of kind of waiting to the end on each slide. I'd really like to kind of, what do you notice? What does it make you wonder? And for the teachers, I used different combinations of some of the same data that we had looked at in July together. And it's a little more in depth now because we've gotten more data in. And then to look at our MAP assessments, and what trends we're seeing. So, and we can talk about each one as we go. So I wanted to let you know that coming in, we had a completely blank continuous improvement plan, and developing that I felt was really important to get everybody's voice in it here at the school, all the teachers who had a lived experience. I could always look at data and make up a plan, but I don't really know what we had done before. So I wanted you guys to know how we started. During pre-planning, the whole staff was broken into 3 groups, and we dug into this data. We dug into milestones data with reading, milestones data with math, and then behavior and attendance data. Those were our 3 big areas. And they went through a 5 whys protocol as to like, why does this data look like this? And we set goals from that for whole school, for student groups, and then did some brainstorming of action steps. And that has turned into our full continuous improvement plan, which we'll continue to look at after that. But I wanted you to know that everybody participated on that during that very busy pre-planning time, but we had to. So one of the requests that I had, I want to make sure you can see with my little thing here, is, and comparison is, what's the saying? Comparison is the thief of joy, or something like that.
Yes.
But I do understand we want to look at ourselves compared to others, but what's always, because that was one of the requests from the Go team, is to see how we're doing with our peers. But it's very important that we compare apples to apples and not apples to oranges.
Mhm.
And so this is a report that we have access to, and this shows all of the schools in APS. And this is all the purple schools are our peers, our elementary peers here in North Atlanta. What I want you to see, and you can't see because of this little guy, I'm gonna set him over here for now.
Just for curiosity, may I ask, who is this highest one that's behind the?
Mary Lynn,
Okay.
yes. Thank you. I could see the N. I know when I snapped it, it caught that little button. But if you look across the bottom, this is our challenge index going across here. It roughly correlates to your free and reduced lunch. And so as a school, there are multi-factors that the district and the state put into, the challenge of a school. Yeah, but when I look at it based on the schools that I know, it pretty much correlates to our free and reduced lunch that we have. So if you look, the goal is to be above this line. This line is like our challenge. And so if we're meeting and we're the kids where they are, we should be at or above that line on that side of it. Okay. And so this is reading, and I did all the grades together. The dots also represent the size of the sampling of the number of students who took the test in each school. And I know we like to look at ourselves, so you can see the schools who have similar free and reduced, like poverty level, as we do. And so I wanted you to see reading, and then I'm also going to show you math. Maybe. And here's the math. And so the vertical line I should have explained is the achievement, average achievement for those schools. And so you can kind of see. So this is the first one. I wanted us to, what do you notice? What do you wonder? And this is all students. I focused on all students for this one.
In the North Atlanta cluster, we are one of the largest schools that has like about a 40 to 50% challenge index.
45, yeah.
And we are, when I
Bolton
could hover
yeah.
over them, I could see the actual number of students, and we did have the most students tested.
And I know in my head, Bolton and E Rivers have one campus. Garden Hills has one campus.
That's true. I didn't even look at that.
You also used the words specifically, most kids tested. So could it be that they could also have a higher or lower challenge index if more kids were tested than us? Like, does that mean including attendance, people who?
No, it's just the number of students in the grades.
Okay.
Yes. So in third, fourth, and fifth, in this sampling, we were just slightly above Brandon when the number of students who tested last year. I will keep going because I have other things to share with this before I go.
I think it's interesting that you're, it's not just the DLI, like they're learning something in a different language, or they're having that in, at such an early age educationally. So I think that correlation couldn't be drawn. Jackson and Brandon have DLI, right?
Not Jackson.
Yeah, they're
That does not, but Brandon does.
Okay. Just
And
Bolton?
that would,
Yeah,
yep.
Andrew does.
All the purple except for Jackson.
Okay.
And you can see how that works. We all know the demographics of each of the schools. And so one of the reasons why I pull it out is because that the challenge is real with diversity. And it's a blessing, but it's important that when we're looking, we realize that it does exist. And so I'm very grateful that they have this data point, because it helps me look to schools who have similar demographics as us. I will tell you, I looked through, because on this I can filter for each student group. And I searched all the ethnicities. The only one I didn't search was gifted, just because it didn't have that option, but I searched the demographics, I searched ethnicities, I searched students with disability, ESOL students, and in all of them, our little dot was on this side of the line. Like, so there wasn't a group that was on the other side of the line when I perused it. So it's not like we have a student group that is performing above their challenge index yet. Give me time. All right, so then I dug in a little bit more. And so this one's got a lot on it. Let me get this thing off here so it's not in our way. Any
Very
idea?
I don't think she can see that.
I think you can go to more.
But can you guys see? All right, so if I put it
Yeah.
kind of right here, you
That's
can
fine,
see it.
yeah.
All right. So this shows our reading. Both of these are reading. The top shows the graphs for all of our student groups. These last two are 4th and 5th grade. It shows the percentage of students that perform proficient and above, and the bottom shows developing and above. And I think it's important to look at both while we're aiming for all of our students to get to proficient and above in everything. Looking at developing above lets us know a little bit more of how that CCRPI is going to flush out, because it looks at developing above. It also lets us know like what percentage are down at that beginning level for all these, just at a quick glance. And so this is reading. Let's look at this one before we move on to see your notice wonderings.
I think it, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna ask, what's SWD?
SWD, I'm glad you asked, students with disabilities. That's our special ed student group, which now the district calls them exceptional ed, is that department. We all are working on changing our nomenclature.
That's right. The bus driver said today, my EE student, and I'm like,
Yes, it's now exceptional ed.
They're
I'm proud of them. They're changing their terminology.
So we should feel good that our developing is growing,
Mhm.
and then a little concerned that our proficient is going down.
In
Right.
some areas, yes.
so that all is 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And
This-
then they're broken down at the end.
This is all together, and this is how 3rd, 4th, and 5th breakdown. You can see 3rd went up a little and proficient.
And that is this last.
This is last year.
But it is really good that we have more students who are in developing, who have moved in, right? Because that means we have fewer that are identified as beginning.
Yes. One of the things that, and I don't know if this is what I'm supposed to do, but one of the things we're really focusing on this year, and we've been doing it in math all year already, and they just released the literacy, we just got access to it yesterday, is they have something called achievement level descriptors. And the achievement level descriptors for 3rd, 4th, and 5th, they lay out what it means for each standard to be at beginning, developing, proficient, and distinguished. And we're really looking, as we're planning our lessons, and even as we're taking our assessments by each question, to see, is it reaching the level of the standard? Does our lesson get there? And then how can we extend? Because if you attended the gifted meeting, we pointed out that we have almost all of our gifted students get to proficient, but only about 50% of them get to distinguished. So we're trying to move those beginnings to at least get up to developing, the developing to get up. And when we're making our assessments, we're doing them at the varied levels so we can see, okay, when this child takes this test and they get this one right, then they're at developing. And as they move on, and we're very excited because the new literacy one we just got access to it yesterday, and Jennifer's already got it. So let's look at math through the same lens. Does anybody want to talk about any of the student groups before I transition? There's discrepancies. It's no, I mean, I don't think it's any surprise because these are the same student groups we've been working on. Being in the community, building up.
Is there anything that you could say about the movement from 2024 to 2025? And I'm assuming EL is English language learners. Can
That
you
was the
talk-
one that I was gonna call out too, so thank you for bringing that up.
From what I understand, and is we had a big influx of newcomers. Kesa, can you address that?
That
Cause
is
yeah,
correct. So we had a large number of newcomer students to come and over the past year. So we're working on getting those students proficient in the language so that they can be successful.
when they
Because
test.
we know that if they're not proficient in language, then they're gonna struggle across the board.
One of the things when we did this activity in July that we noticed is about 50% of our, which you can see here, of our language learners perform at beginning. And that's not just newcomers, because there's more than there are newcomers. So making sure we have our high expectations, make sure that we're servicing those kids with EIP as well as ESOL. Because our ESOL students in third grade get one segment of support. In fourth and fifth, they've only been getting one segment until this year. They're getting two. And we're also making sure they're also getting their EIP support in those subjects as well this year. So hopefully by having the additional support and even if it's just the sheer fact of having more adults in the room to notice if they're achieving, I think we should see some leap from that.
This is just for informational purposes, so our primary target assessment is the access, and this is based on milestone status. So when we look at the access data, we're doing amazing, right? Our kids are really moving, and a lot of the children are moving out of the program. So once we start seeing that success with their language proficiency again.
We had excellent growth with
Mhm.
access from one language
Yes.
performance band to the next.
Okay.
It's just getting it, until you can really see it on milestones, we gotta get them to like the 3, 4, 5 level on access. And that can take a little bit.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
About students who are usually termed like bubble kids?
Mhm.
They are not low enough to qualify for interventions or pullout, but then they're not moving. How are they getting serviced if they?
That's so funny because Case and I were just talking about a student like that. The benefit of having push-in EIP as opposed to pull-out EIP.
Yes.
The benefit is when you push in for EIP and for ESOL services, is they serve all students in the room. And so although there may be 5 or 6 identified students for EIP, if Chiesa pushes into a room
Mhm.
for either EIP or ESOL, she is serving all of the students, and that helps those, from falling through the cracks. And the other thing we're doing is in their PLCs, when we're looking at how the students are performing, we bring student work and we sort it for like high, mediums, and lows. And we talk about the kids who were high, what did they do well?
Mhm.
And then we look at the mediums to see what did they struggle with to get them up to a high, and we list out those skills, and then we do the same with those that were low. What prerequisite skills and stuff are they lacking to get there? And then the teachers are using that to plan their small group instruction. And that's something that we're really digging into this year. We've been fairly general as we're starting, as students are remembering school, but now that we're getting all of our data and they're starting their first units, we'll have solid assessments to really look at that and say that these 7 kids missed this skill. Let's pull them during that time. And our EIP support and ESOL support starts pushing in next week, and they're going in during that small group time. And even if the kids are being pulled out, they're working on that reteach of those skills that they're struggling, that they're planning in PLCs.
So then just the APS as a whole, if you have a student who is just kind of stuck in developing for years, you know, maybe they've gotten to fourth grade and they're just still at this and are not really moving into proficient, is there anything more aggressive or do they consider this passing?
Well, we don't consider it passing, and so
Mhm.
you're proficient. The kids do pass to the next grade, but we continue to try to push them up skill wise. And the hard thing is once they get to fourth and fifth, you know, it starts sandwiching the extent of behind. So that's the purpose of that early intervention program. What has been any of y'all's experience with that?
And I'm not
You
just
mean
talking
yeah.
about Smith, but I'm saying like once they get to
Mhm.
middle school and then especially high school, and they're still just stuck in this range,
Mhm.
are there any interventions to say like,
So I think that's one of the things that we're gonna be focusing on more this year, right?
Mhm.
So trying to move those kids from developing to proficient and from
And I
proficient to
think
above.
sometimes
So-
it really is our teaching not reaching the level of the standard because we don't understand the difference between developing and proficient. And that's where those achievement level descriptors help. And they have them all the way through high school for their assessments.
okay,
These are the reading levels based on milestones. They, when kids take them, they rank you as either at or above grade level. And so this is where they saw our third, fourth, and fifth graders based on that assessment.
At the end of last spring.
The May, milestones that they took late April, early May.
These fourth graders are now fifth graders.
Correct.
These third graders are now fourth graders.
Yes. That was something that that I noticed as I looked
Mhm.
at it is, okay, these are our fifth graders right now.
Yeah.
And compared to last year's fifth graders. And then these are our third graders moving up. Of course, we don't have the second grade because this was milestones on this one, but we have second grade that we can look at in just a second. All right, so let's look at math, same busy chart that we had a second ago. Move that back in the middle. There we go. And again, remember that's third, fourth, fifth at the side. The red is fifth grade.
Can you clarify what percentage is considered developing?
On the milestones, if they are, oh, I'm trying to think of the cut scores.
The GMAT, the Georgia DOE site says developing scale score range is 475 to
25.
524.
Thank you. Look at you, smarty case.
I'm
Yes.
looking at the web.
Yes, yeah, I was trying to
Okay.
remember, and it's consistent, and that one is consistent, whereas proficient changes sometimes
Okay,
on it. So
so there's obviously some gaps.
there's a big range for developing
Mhm.
and proficient. It's a very small range to be in distinguished. But what do you notice with the math that might be a little different than what we saw with the language arts?
I'm not looking at numbers, but it feels lower. It looks lower to
Still
me.
lower, yeah, it does. I think it is.
Okay.
Well,
We
It's
can go back.
surprising to
I
me
feel
that
like the
EL
English
was
language
the-
learners are higher in the developing.
but there's more in developing, yeah.
There are more in developing. Any idea why?
They're taught in Spanish.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this the test in Spanish or the test in?
Test is in English. Mhm.
That'd be
So
interesting.
the
to
concepts
see.
are taught-
So test in English, concepts in Spanish. So this isn't like MAP, where if you're an English language learner, you take it in Spanish, right?
Correct. And even most of the time,
Okay, so
Most-
MAP
mo-
is done in Spanish for English language.
only a couple,
Only a
only
cou- okay.
newcomers take it in Spanish. They all take it in English. And so, but yes, this is all in English. And I did pull out some additional data like that with MAP to show you in a minute. What I noticed when I looked at this is I see some growth. I see like all went up and 3 percentage points in a year, a little over 3 is pretty good. You know, this one came down, but this one went up about the same equivalent. So we didn't bring those beginners into developing.
Oh.
I noticed that third grade, they went up. even a slight up. Look at our white students went up about 4%. Okay, we keep going. So that we sat and we talked, I'm gonna put this up here. And so this is to connect our dots between the strategic plan priorities, that 1 through 8 or 9 that we had initially, to our continuous improvement plan, SMART goals, and then to the different data pieces that we'll be looking at. Now, this year we'll be setting up, starting on the 27th, we'll be working on our new strategic plan for 2025 to 2030. And we will, I am sure of it because the district has really been working on selecting more focused key performance indicators, but these are the data pieces that we use at the local school. I'm sure when we do the strategic plan, we'll tie in specific ones, but I took and for our first goal, it was on reading and on the language arts. And our goal is to move from 53% of our students to 59% of our students being proficient on reading. I aligned that to goals 3 and 4, as well as the professional learning one, because it applies to all of them. That we're going to be data driven, we're going to differentiate for kids, we're going to develop this literacy, this literate community where we're reading and writing fluently, speaking across the curriculum, and the data pieces that we'll be using this year, reading map growth, our new Amira foundational skills assessment. We're also using DIBELS, which is a one-on-one assessment that we're administering to know where students are in all of those foundational reading skills, so we can know specifically what to work with them on, whether it's, blending, whether it's segmenting words. We have Lexia and Imagine Espanol data. Benchmark Advance has weekly and unit assessments that we're doing, where we can see specifically how they're doing relative to the standards. And the district is going to have some new mid-semester assessments that are standards-based, based on the milestones blueprints, that they'll be able to see how we're performing across the district on standards. With math, I did the same thing. We're going to move from 49% to 55%. As a district, we want to go at least 5. So I did usually 5 plus some, 5 to 6. In that we're going to really focus on that STEM, and we're going to do the multi-tier system. Again, very similar data. The difference is some of the assessments that we're giving in math this year are in a program called Mastery Connect. Our first grade level is actually getting trained on that next week, 5th grade. The good thing about taking our assessments in that program is it helps to disaggregate that data faster than we can just with an Excel spreadsheet. It will say these 10 kids in 5th grade don't know how to do volume, and so work with them. And our data PLCs, which I can also put up here, small group plans and happy numbers. And then our last goal was to improve our Georgia school climate rating. Right now we have 2 out of 5 stars, and I want to get minimally to 3 out of 5 stars, not scars. That would be painful. And we will.
Which stars are these?
They're if you go to the
Oh, I see.
Godot, they have climate ratings. It was new this year, and there are 5 possible stars. And depending on how all your data disaggregates, you end up with 2, 3, 4, 5. We had 2 out of 5, particularly because of behavior, the types of behaviors we were having. So we really decided to focus on those self-management skills for kiddos and student attendance, because we all know how big of a factor that is. And so one of the things I really want to do that's not part of this is I want us as a team to really dig into that school climate data, to look at what it says and some of the whys, the potential whys with it, like our team did at the beginning of the year. Sometimes with that, with the surveys that we do that go to parents, students, and staff, it's all about the timing that you take it. And it was a rough time last April, Marchish when you guys took it. So I think hopefully we'll have a calmer time when we give it. But that connected into the culture and the care team, goals. And so the data pieces we'll use, we have some great access in APS graphs, which is kind of the school counterpart to insights that you can see on the public facing side. But we can really dig into by question for everyone, monitoring attendance and behavior summaries. So actually, like, one of my goals is to move us from about 83% students not being chronically absent to about 88%.
What-
It's very lofty.
What are behavior summaries?
Behavior summaries in our APS graphs, we can look and dig down into the behavior. And as I keep thinking I want to show you guys, but right now it's such a small number of students that it kind of reveals too much. But we can look to see, is it certain grade levels that are having the behavior? Is there enough supervision? Is it happening in the cafeteria? Is it happening on the playground? And then we can make decisions. And we do that through that whole child intervention team or with our leadership team. Right now I'm looking at third grade. Third grade is where it's happening right now, which surprised me a little bit when I was really digging into it. Now granted, there's not a lot of data yet, but I'm like, I'm just keeping my eye on
About the,
Transition
from, yes, it could probably be it.
about the, attendance issue.
Mhm.
Is that just if the child is absent for the day, or does it include tardies or like early pickup? As long, I guess it affects if they're picked up too early, then they're basically not here that
Yeah, if
day.
they're picked up before that midday 11:15, they're absent.
So is
And
it just absences or tardies?
it's just absences.
Okay,
But we still don't want people to be tardy. So if
True.
you're listening out there, you must come to school on time, 7:45, be here by 7:46. It does factor it in, and it looks at 10% of students' enrollment. So if a student is enrolled a full year, that's 180 days. So if they miss more than 18 days, they're considered chronically absent. But if a student is only enrolled 50 days, they come in August, they leave in November, and they miss more than 5 days, they missed more than 10% of their enrolled time. And so we are constantly watching that. And part of our whole child intervention, which is called care team on here, part of that team is we look at those students with attendance and try to come up with plans. At this age, so much of it is parent controlled. And so sometimes it's educating kindergarten parents. It always starts with kindergarten. Plus, they get sick, because they're around all these kids. And so it's getting that picked up. And you'll be able to see how our attendance is when I do my principal report. It's still pretty good.
I have a couple questions. So the attendance is only third, fourth, and fifth grade, or is
It's whole school.
the whole
That's a
school?
great
Okay.
question. It is whole school.
Okay, so I have a comment there. My experience, we do carpool. And we get there 7:30 or 7:40. By the time we get to drop off, it's 7:50 or whatever.
Mhm.
We've been told, last year we were told that didn't count as a tardy
Mhm.
or absent.
Mhm.
But then the teachers have told us that counts as absent.
I'll make sure to clarify that then, because what we've decided and done is if they're in line at that time, like before we close it off and you have
Right.
to go to the
We
front,
made it, right? We said-
then you're on time. But
Yeah.
sometimes the kids get to the room and the teachers may have already done attendance and it just needs to be corrected. So if you see that discrepancy, let the teacher know, and then you could also let Miss Gore and Miss D know, and we'll get that fixed. But I will do some clarification with the staff. Will you guys help me remember on Tuesday when we have a staff meeting?
Now, my concern in terms of the statistics, right, is that, yeah, we will call, we correct, hey, she's absent 5 times, but she's only been absent once, right? I imagine most parents may not do that. Right, follow up, so I'm not sure if that can be corrected more automatically, right?
I'm so glad, because
Yeah.
we actually just did that. We pulled a report to see, and we focused on the students who had 3 or more unexcused absences. And so with that, then we reached out to those families to see if maybe they didn't give us an excuse or if there were any errors. And we actually did find a couple of errors. But we assigned it to one of the clerks at each building, and they were going through calling and correcting that, because it does happen.
Right.
And so that was our big focus, because It's easy to forget to send an excuse note.
Yes.
I live near a school that has us on their marquee, early in the year that says learning starts at 7:45. And I thought that was such a positive way, rather than saying, be on time.
Yeah, that is. When I get access to the
Maybe
marquees, I'll
do
put that
that.
on there.
I like the way it said
Third
learning
quarter.
begins
It
at
does.
7:45, and it does. And then if that can run even on non-school days when you're passing by.
Mm-hmm. It does. All right, so goals 1 and 2 are the reading and the math. And so this is our map results of where we're starting. And remember, we've had some summer slide, but I wanted to pull it out as well. And the best report that I feel shows is this map growth quintile report. And the reason why I like it is because you can see how the students are performing relative to their peers, like how many kids are falling in the lowest 20% in the from 21 to 40, from 41 to 60, from 61 to 80, and 80 and higher. And you can see how many are really in the struggle on the struggle bus, you know, down here. Because if you think, okay, 14% of 123, okay, we got about 14, 15 kids that are really right here. And you can kind of see how they're performing. When you know 50 percentile is like your average. And so we can see exactly kind of how many are falling down with the grades. This is this report for reading. Anything you notice?
Generally seems consistent throughout, K to 5,
Mhm.
there's not like a glaring grade that is,
We have some like high marks here,
yeah.
which is interesting because I noticed like in 2nd and 4th grade, we had those huge gifted groups. Where we actually had to put 2 gifted teachers to serve them, and you could really see it pop here in the data, the number of kids that are green and blue.
So it's like, get ready for K. So-
Yeah, absolutely.
Because K looks like it's coming in hot.
Yeah, we've already been.
It's the way we like it.
The third grade had overall better performance, right? And you start from yellow.
Yellow would be.
Average.
Yeah,
Right,
Yeah.
average and above, and they have less exams.
they do.
Is there every correlation?
They're a smaller group, but I think they
Yeah.
just came up that strong. Often I've heard as I was interviewing the intermediate teachers are like, they need to be more rigorous at the primary. And you can kind of see we're being rigorous. Let's look at the math and then we could always go back.
So math appears lower. General.
There's, so for the students who missed the math exam, because I already noticed for some grades, it's not the same
Mhm.
test takers, will they just not take?
Well, they'll took it, but they probably got it as they come out of the window.
Yeah.
Some kids did the makeup outside of the window, so the numbers are.
Here, we've seen it go every year.
I'm telling you, when we got the kindergarten and we were working on EIP eligibility, I'm like, are y'all sure? Look back at that data, and it really does match up. But
It would be interesting to, well,
go ahead.
I was just thinking it would be interesting to see the effect of the pre-K to our, but I know that our pre-K isn't all Sarah
Yeah.
Smith students, so that's when I would have the,
Or any sort of pre-kindergarten experience.
Mhm.
Private
Interesting
school.
data.
but cause there's a Sarah Smith way of teaching,
Mhm.
like that they're in the building, the notes. I think that could also be a positive.
And I do
That's
know
great
there's
one.
some pre-K conversations of making it more school-based, so. Kelsey, are you still alive over there?
I am, yes.
I'm sorry, just like with Javier, I neglected you, but at least I can see you this
You
better.
can hear me,
this-
so I'm listening and taking it all in.
Okay. We don't want you to feel left out.
Thank you.
And so
Question.
Yeah.
Are we doing any talent development
We're-
in kindergarten?
we are going to start talent development, yes. And typically in kindergarten, we're gonna pull those kids that are close
Good.
to that. They have to be at the 90th percentile to be tested,
Okay.
to be referred for testing, but we're gonna dip down and pull some. we're actually meeting as a gifted team soon. We better get that scheduled because we said by October we were gonna work on this, right?
Will those criteria be made
Public.
available to
Yes,
everyone?
yeah, we're
Before
gonna,
you start?
yes,
Okay.
yeah,
Thank
we
you.
will most definitely. And that's, we're gonna be looking at that to see how many students we think we can, how far back we can dip into. All right, so you made, I can't remember, Chrissy, I think you were making that question about, I was wondering how math looked, whether students were getting their math instruction in Spanish or in English. And so I wanted to see, because sometimes we worry about whether they're taking the test in a language that they're not taught in. And so I just pulled both of those up. I could filter for those who are in the DLI program and getting their math instruction in Spanish and those that are getting in English. And it looked like the Spanish side was holding their own, even though they're taking the test in English.
Hmm.
But we are gonna really focus on that transfer of language.
So let's
That's
teach
the
math in
feeling.
Spanish.
We have great teachers, that's, yeah, no, they're all good. It's just, how it felt. It also does have, an imbalance of gifted learners in the DLI program. Many more of our gifted learners have filtered into DLI, and so that affects these scores as well. But those kids are all learning in Spanish.
So we also seem to have an imbalance of class size, particularly in the fourth grade. You have classes that are gonna be 28 students.
To 24. Mhm.
I mean, you take 109 for fourth grade and divide it by 4, your average is over 27.
Mhm. And then our
So how are we helping those
Glad you
traditional
asked.
classes?
Those classes, what we did when we set up our EIP models, because they were so large, rather than pushing in to provide that support, the students who were eligible for EIP in the traditional fourth grade, we're pulling them out. What that does is, say there's 7 kids that are eligible, they get pulled out to work like with Miss Harrison on their reading or their math during that small group time, when it's time for the kids to go to small group and they would be doing it in the room. She's going ahead and pulling those kids out, or whoever's assigned. It's a very complicated schedule. She's pulling those students out so that it leaves a smaller number of students for the traditional teacher to be able to address their needs. This is going to start on Monday, because we had to do the notification first. And so, it's going to be choppy at first, and we've talked about how we've had all this time to really get our schedules running so that when it's time for them to go to their EIP or for the teacher to push in, it hits during that small group time, because there's nothing worse than being a support teacher. I've been that teacher, and you push in and you're waiting to get to your small groups. And so that was our goal with the fourth grade. In as many situations as I can, I've pushed in the support, because I truly believe the more they stay in with grade level peers at the standard, that we're going to bring them up, and we're less likely to teach down as when they're included with their peers. But when there's so many kids, and especially when there's so many adults, because sometimes in these classrooms, there's already 2 teachers, because there's a gen ed teacher and a special ed teacher, and they're with their groups, and the kids are in their stations, and it's already speaking over each other, and you add in one more and everybody just wants to cry. It's like, I'm overstimulated. And so pulling out is beneficial in that way. The other thing, and you'll see when we get to the leveling, and I think I mentioned it, is we hired an EIP teacher who's bilingual, who will be pushing in at the primary during math for all the DLI classes, so that they're continuing with the math EIP. And she's able to get into all 6. There's 2 morning, PM, morning, PM, morning, PM. We were able to make that work. She starts on the 24th, so her services won't start as early, but we'll get her in. Like, we're just not even gonna just walk in and start teaching.
But just a little clarification, Ms. Harrison will pull out, but then at that time, for the upper, intermediate campus, the other teacher will push in? No,
No, the other teacher will do her small group rotations and,
Okay.
a lot of them already have either a parapro or a special ed co-teacher or another teacher in there that's also helping. But instead of having the 27 kids, they'll have like 20.
and that's at the intermediate. So then when do push-in services in the intermediate?
It varies
Okay.
depending on class. And if you come to the meeting on Monday at 6, or you watch the recording, which will be available immediately following, we've learned. I'm gonna go through and show, because we actually have 4 ESOL models that we're operating off of and 3 EIP models that we're operating off this year. And I'll go through and I'll list, like, in each classroom, which EIP model is happening in that room and who's providing it. Because we've, all of our ESOL team and our EIP team are functioning as one, and some of them have dual certification, and so they're able to do both at different times in the day. And then I added a Spanish-speaking bilingual, she's proficient English and Spanish, EIP teacher, as well as a bilingual parapro that will push into 4 of the 6 classes up here because of the way the schedules were, to be able to support Spanish math groups as well. And I'll show all that on Monday.
This may not be the time to ask this question, but, I mean, this is early in the year, right? And we tend to add students in traditional classes all throughout the year.
Mhm.
I can remember at least 5 students being added to my daughter's class last year. So at what point do you make changes to the 4th grade lineup? And also, I mean, those teachers, it seemed like on the last page, it seemed like there were more assessments this year. There were mid-unit assessments, end-of-unit assessments, semester assessments. And when you have more students, you have more assessments that you have to grade and you have to decide and balance groups. How are we supporting those teachers who have these large class sizes to balance? And then, are we forming a plan to what to do?
If it gets too full.
When do we decide?
Yeah,
Right.
and what that would mean is we don't get any more teachers. We've already done our leveling. And so if it would get to be too full, then we'd come together as a leadership team, which would incorporate the grade level leaders and the admin team. And we'd look to see, all right, we're gonna have to reshuffle all the schedules and pull one of those support staff to be an additional teacher. And then it would be, we're off numbers. And so then that teacher may have to teach everything. I think one of the benefits now of being departmentalized in the higher grades is that they can focus on the one subject. EIP teachers, co-teachers, they all help grade. That's an expectation. They don't give the grades, but they should help grade all those assignments as well.
I would just really encourage for 5th grade that we go ahead and start thinking.
Oh, we
next
are.
year
Oh,
that
we
have
are.
Like, we can do a 3 rotation of teachers
We can.
and have 5 traditional teachers. Like, we can do that.
I
It's
think
done
we
in other
can, and I've
places.
done it before at Garden Hills. The one thing is it reduces that relationship piece, because it's much harder for a teacher to really have that relationship with 3 groups of 20 instead of 2 groups of 24. But you have to be very intentional then to develop those, and that's been my experience. So most definitely, if the numbers are looking that way, we will go to odd. I mean, you can do a 3-way rotation. It's just will teach more of the writing, the other will teach the reading in groups, and another one will teach the math and content. Need to integrate the content with the writing. But yes, I'm thinking about it. These things keep me up
Is
at
there
night.
any way of looking at the data, that is it the instruction versus access, prior knowledge, coming into these grades? Because I'm looking at these look like almost 2 different schools.
Yeah, they
like,
do.
They look like 2 different schools in one school.
They do, and that's one of the things like that we're talking about. And the other thing you have to remember is there's much more transiency and students who have not been learning the Sarah Smith way in the traditional classes, because as new students come in, unless they're a newcomer, they're channeling into the traditional, and so they are having to play catch up with those kids, especially, the way we teach, the terminology, especially if they're from out of state. And so that is something that we'll definitely, I'm keeping an eye on. We experienced that at Garden Hills too, but it was only into 2 classes, so it was even more in your face, because they either went into this room or this room each time, and so having 4 to distribute helps.
Well, and then also like, look, thinking about the English language learners, is there data that shows which track they're in and how they're performing? So say an English language learner is put in the dual language program versus a traditional program, because I'm just thinking like 80% of the English language learners are not proficient. Meanwhile, I'm looking at 60+% are distinguished and above in these taught in Spanish. I'm just wondering how we're addressing those
And we can
gaps.
separate that, and I can bring that data. We have both an ESOL dashboard and a DLI dashboard in APS graphs that we can extract that. That, yes. The research shows that, the students should be acquiring language a little slower in the DLI. Acquiring English, it takes a little bit longer. But by the time they get into the 5th, 6th, 7th grades, they're exceeding their peers. I tend to find it, at least at Garden Hills, and it's gonna be something that I have to look here, by 3rd or 4th grade, we could see that difference.
I don't think we ever have
catching
seen
up.
anything like that at Sarah Smith, like the data that
Yeah,
supports.
I can show that to you guys.
And I
If-
do want to just reiterate
Mhm.
that our best measure of assessment for our language learners is the access.
Yeah, we
So
can
maybe
bring
we'll
both.
see that.
Yes.
That'd be
Yeah.
great.
Can we write that down to be on, my principal's report next time? Will you put that in?
Because that just kind of made me think when we're looking at these goals, we have big gaps between our subgroups. And do we want to specify within our goals?
We
the
have that
growth
in our
we-
continuous improvement
Okay,
plan. We do. And one of the things the CCRPI does, and I can show that to you guys over time, and maybe they'll have a session on it at the summit, is the CCRPI sets our goals for our student groups to have that continual growth. And so like we have an ESOL growth goal. We have a Black students. For each one, we have a growth goal so that we're not ignoring any of them. And if we don't, that's when we get those red flags or yellow flags on CCRPI.
This is what always hurts me as an English language teacher. When we look at this data, it looks like our kids are doing poorly, but they're not.
Mhm.
And they are showing
Yes.
good
yeah.
growth, but it generally takes 3 to 5 years for them to accumulate language proficiency. So until they accumulate full language proficiency, then we are gonna continue to see.
Yeah,
this
we'll
type
pull
of
that
data.
out. Have that next time. I
Yeah,
think it'll
that'd be
probably
great to
fit in
see.
with what we're working on.
And then so I'll have to ask that the overwhelming majority of students of African descent are not DLI. So then what is there, because it's not language,
Mhm.
because there are very few across the grades. So then what? Because they are consistently, since I've been here 4 years, consistently the lowest. Can you pinpoint?
I think I'm gonna need a little bit more time. I
Yeah.
did notice that that student group performs lower than I'm accustomed to from my last school. We did have a higher population of Black students over there, so, but yes, I think I do need a little bit more time
Sure.
to understand that and to talk with others about that. But I did notice that, especially as I was digging through, I'm like, oh yeah, that's kind of glaring. I wanted to also look, one thing, when you get your beginning of the year data, it's kind of like, ooh, how does this compare to last year at this time of the year? And also, how does this compare to how the kids performed last year as we ended the year? So this graph shows that this is, it says subgroup, but I chose all students because what I really wanted to do is to see how much should we really panic about where we're starting with math and reading, which is this last number here, the 38% and the 45%. Is that significantly lower than where we normally start? And so you have to go back to, and I'm sorry you can't see on my screen, but this one is spring last year where the kids ended up. And this is where we're picking up. Now, granted, this is just 2nd through 5th on this one, so it doesn't include new kindergartners. And so this does include the 5th graders this does not include the 5th graders that left us because these are current students only. So of our current students, 41% of them were proficient in math on MAP when we left in March. They took it in March. And then that when we came back, the students we have are 38%. And then this is where we left and where we came back. So you can see, one, there's a summer slide, and two, there's the influence of newer students too. You can come up, baby. You can get them. And so you can see, but you can also see compared to over time, these are the fall of 22-23, the fall of 23-24, the fall of 24-25, and then the fall of this year. And so you can see that we're starting a little bit lower than where we have traditionally started. And so it does give that sense of urgency to me as we get started.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
This may not be maybe I'm misunderstanding something, but I've always been curious as to the switching classes in the DLI. Because you've got so many teachers that are bilingual. What philosophy, I'm new to DLI, so I mean, we didn't have it at Morningside, so is it required that they have two teachers? Because if you've got a bilingual, because I'm thinking to myself, that's a lot of children and data and stuff to remember as a teacher and at those formative years. And if you could just drill down and have the 20 or some odd children with you all day, and you just taught half the day in English and half the day in Spanish, then you would know your children like the back of your hand a little bit better. I just feel like that's just
And
my
I'll tell
philosophy,
you-
but I'm old and I've
You-
been teaching a long time, and so it takes a while to get to
You're
know
seasoned.
children. And you get to know them, but then when you feel like, oh, they've got to switch, I've got to hurry up and go to another teacher.
There are pros and cons. When I
Okay.
taught DLI, I taught in a one-room model where I was the English and the Spanish teacher. And the issue was it was too easy to abandon a language, because I'm working with Susie and Susie really doesn't get Spanish, and I'm trying so hard in Spanish to get her to get it. And it's easy to fall back out of the immersive language. It's also a lot easier when you're in a one-room classroom to say, oh, I need 30 more minutes of reading. I'll catch up in math tomorrow. And so there's pros and cons, because you're right, that relationship piece, those knowing the kids
Smaller
is
numbers of children to
and
deal with.
less to have to try to differentiate between. But I wish that I had experienced the two-room model when I did it, because and it also in departmentalization, and Kelsey, you can probably speak to this with your experience too. Teachers are much more protective of instructional time. When you have to switch groups, they will make sure to get it in. Whereas when you have the whole day to do all the subjects, you're like, oh, I'll just go really light on science today, And so but it is a disadvantage that there's two groups of kids. And so that's why we look at the data to see how it's working, particularly as we move for third,
So
fourth,
is there
and
the
fifth.
option to do either model or?
Not in APS.
Okay.
We only have the one room model in pre-K. And that's because they're little babies. So as we looked at the data, just coming back to those same questions, those were my overall slides as we start before we dig into other things, just to see what things we know we want to look a little deeper into our ESOL students. Other things, and so it kind of goes to, they have this glows and grows to kind of talk about as well. What were some of those things that you? I would say one of the things that really jumped out to me is that we're starting a little lower than we typically do. I'm sure it doesn't surprise the teachers because they're in there with the kids, and I've heard them say, oh, they really need to, we have to pick up this and we have to do this. And so, but seeing the bigger gap we have to close to meet those goals, to move that 5 or 6%, we're going to really have to be intent on the data and monitoring it.
That's because of the summer break.
I think part of it's summer slide. And then I also think, it could be the students who have come in versus the students that we lost, because we did lose some students that, hit the results.
And also when we get new students, I think that affects our data as well. And I'm not speaking like English language learners, just in general.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, if they're coming from outside of a district or from a different school or out of state, so. And we do have frequently throughout the year, new students coming in.
And so I think it's important that our instructional program, that we maintain the rigor so that we're also attracting families to Sarah Smith that will impact the results as well.
The transientness, if that's a word, or the fluidity that we experience in our enrollment, is it because, or is it partly because we are in like kind of a downtown location of the cluster? That maybe we have just a lot more movement, like in the neighborhoods versus some other neighborhoods that may be a little bit more fixed?
And I have to, a lot of you that have been in the community may know it more than I. I think anytime that you have apartments and apartments have leases,
Yeah,
that and the prices keep going up here. And so I think sometimes we price families out and then we
Yeah, yeah.
lose people.
or then even people who are coming in, you know, maybe their first stop is an apartment until they learn the city
And
and then find where they want to be.
then yeah.
And so does that, and
It-
is that what we see with our like change?
That's where, and I've only got 33 days in, but I'm doing all the class placements. So I see where like everybody lives as they come in. And, the last few new students, we haven't had a ton these last couple of weeks, but they, have been in the apartments. You know, most people are gonna buy their house and be there by the time school starts, even in Georgia where it starts in the summer. And so, but I think I'll have to monitor that. Oh, somebody's got a smile now. All is well with the world.
I think that y'all have great responsibility to serve of these over 800 students, and whatever we can do as parents on your Go team to help make that possible, please let us know. Because I think that we can make a huge difference this year. I think we are starting out at a lower place for a lot of growth possible, but I think there's a lot of momentum in this community
Mhm.
to end up at a much stronger place at the end of this year.
I do too. I hope you don't feel it's doom and gloom. It's just, I want to be honest about where we're starting, and I want you to hold us accountable to show that growth. And I can't wait until April. Like when we look at the data after different things and I bring it to you, we want to see that number going up.
I think the YouTube, the 30-minute YouTube university things that you're doing on Mondays are such a good idea to
Thanks.
educate parents. And I would say keep doing that and you'll keep getting the views. And I don't know how else to make, if you could send that over, like through the Infinite Campus emails,
Mhm.
just to make sure everybody knows
That's a good idea.
where to go for those tidbits of information. I think that might be helpful for parents. And I would do
It's
one on attendance. I would do one on this kind of stuff about even little things, because all of that's gonna make a difference.
Cool. That's a
And
good
maybe have
idea.
a standing in the star,
Yeah.
YouTube.
What's coming next? Oh,
Yeah,
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 just-
yeah.
or the
Just keep
channel.
it.
Yeah.
Keep it on my
Yeah.
little part. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
But just everyone doesn't get the star. I mean,
But
they
yes.
might not,
But yeah,
but
the
everyone
Infinite
gets
Campus
Infinite Campus
Yes,
emails, yeah.
do it in both.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we go with that
Yeah.
over communication.
Over our communication channels.
Question.
Uh-huh.
So last year and kind of like in years past, when we looked at like reading and math scores, it was always like, oh, there's new curriculum coming out, there's new standards coming out, there's new curriculum that we're getting, we're choosing what we're gonna do, we're choosing what we're gonna. How much of what work has already been done with our amazing teachers is being used again this year? Like, I'm not,
Math, a
like-
lot of it is.
Okay.
Math, a
Because
lot of it is.
it felt like we were reinventing the wheel for these teachers and looking at these data points, especially like at each track has their own
Mm-hmm.
things that they're definitely working on, but
They can't get any
there's such a
traction
broad-
because we changed so
Yes.
much.
there's such a broad level of students that they're trying to reach at each. So I'm just like, I'm hopeful that the departmentalization will help
I'm too.
and will allow teachers to focus and really hone in on their strengths and what they want for their students so they can meet each of those students at their individual levels. And then I'm also hopeful that there will be vertical alignment
Mhm.
between the teachers so that the teachers, so we're seeing a drop from second to third. Can the second grade math teachers get together with the third grade math
Yes, we
teachers? Be
will.
like, what are you doing? What are we getting? What can we do? How can we help? Those kind of things.
We actually have planned a PD to do where we're gonna do, particularly with math, to look vertically as to what are the big 3 to 4 skills that third grade, for example, I'm using your
Yeah.
example, that third grade teachers need that's to make sure second graders have. If they have these 3 to 5 skills,
Yeah.
we teach a bajillion. But
Mhm.
if they have these 3 to 5, that we can track and make sure that every kid can come up with those skills, it would make things easier. And that's one of our PDs that we're getting ready to do. And we'll continue that as we work. Literacy's got a big jump this year with the new standards.
Okay.
I just had the training on the new milestones, and I cannot wait to really dig into it with the teachers because the assessment is different. There's new writing rubrics. They don't call them genres, they call them techniques. There's, all these things that we need to make sure that they're aware of for the new standards. And like I said, we just got those achievement level descriptors that we can dig in with them. And so Jennifer and I are about to sit down and map that out for the next few months to get it all in front of them. Because they give us like a 1 hour training that takes us the whole year to develop. But back to here, we can come back to
Mhm.
data. This is where we're at. We're looking to see kind of where we are right now, and we're about to develop the next strategic plan. You can see before we go on winter break, we're going to be all the way back to ranking those priorities. I think we'll have new priorities that'll be in the new strategic plan that are speak to where we are now. And we'll be ranking them to make those budget decisions, just like Elizabeth was saying, we got to think about how many teachers we have at each grade level for the students. And I did, when I was trying to decide what we needed more with the leveling money that I'm about to show you, I really did think about, oh, should we do that? Should we add the teacher there then? But I didn't want to disrupt all those kids. So last time we met, one of the things is we created this, and I always hate when you create something and you never come back to see what you can action.
Mhm.
And so we have a lot of ideas here, and I know we all can be overwhelmed. And so is there something in here that we can action? Now we can keep revisiting in subsequent meetings, or are we already actioning any of these things to make it relevant? And thank you for having this so nicely in the minutes. I just cut and paste it.
In form, we haven't done any of the categories.
Well, I disagree because you, although it wasn't a Go Team tent, you really did talk really well at the PTO meeting about what Go Team does. And so, although we have these things coming up, but we talked about having something maybe at the fall festival for Go Team.
And it's not on a Saturday.
We did it Sunday, Sunday, November 2nd.
Hopefully it'll.
It's Sunday, November 2nd.
November 1st.
No, Sunday, November 2nd.
Hmm.
I believe they kind of looked and Brandon did theirs on Sunday, and because of all the sports events, they decided to move it to Sunday. All right, you guys think about this. I'm gonna come back.
I mean, sorry, just really easy. We could throw feedback form on the Go Team site. That would.
Oh, yeah, that was done.
nothing.
We could action
We could
that, yeah.
definitely do that. I
To
just,
gather ideas and
just to
feedback,
gather, kind of like,
see if they share anything,
let's see what's.
like a comment box.
Yeah.
And then staying with superstar feedback box, we can have a form to nominate a superstar.
Was that a nominee or was it?
I think it
like
was to
the
get feedback from the
students to
kids.
say-
Or feedback from the kids.
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah, let's aim for.
Yeah.
To get that by maybe our next
Google
meeting.
Website too, right?
A lot of them could do a Google form pretty easily. All right, we'll keep revisiting that.
Okay.
My principal report is, You probably don't remember unless you studied last notes, but I looked back to see what our percentages and our numbers were when we had our last meeting, although it hasn't been that long. And we were at 840, which includes our pre-K through 5th grade. And so when I pulled this last night, it was 841. So we've had some shifts, some come and go in kids, but the net change is a student from our last visit. All of our percentages pretty much remained the same when I compared it. You can see our attendance. I know those numbers are small, still not bad. Kinder, first, 5th, but still 94, 95%. That's not bad considering everybody's sharing germs. And when you look to see on the daily rate, typically you'll start seeing they get a little lighter on Fridays and Mondays. But so far things are looking good. The same report is the one that has behavior on it. And we'll definitely take a look at that as we get a few more students to make it look less obvious. The Taste of Sarah Smith is Friday, it's tomorrow. I can't believe it. It's already here. I wanted to point out on my principal's report that, am I okay that I just went right into that? I didn't even let you transition it in
Well,
your
yeah,
your
well,
agenda.
I think you need to close out your discussion.
Yes, so that was the end of my discussion.
Thank you, Principal Perot. We will now move on to information items, first with the principal's report.
Yes, so like I said, we sent home AMERA results and dyslexia screener outcome letters, yesterday, today's Thursday, yes, yesterday. We're gonna have a session on Monday at 6 to kind of explain those results and next steps. And also the EIP notification letters went home. And, so we're gonna sandwich those two into Monday's session to talk about those. I did see there's a new tableau in here where I can look at AMERA data. So hopefully I'll incorporate some of that data into that presentation on Monday. And that the parent connections are now all on the website as well as the recordings. If you click, and it's not pretty. I think it was you guys who said, don't worry about making it pretty, just get it up there. And so all of the different sessions that we've been having, I'll get it to come down, are on the website now by date. And I put the slides and the recordings, and the upcoming topics are there, and we'll get the dates in because we've mapped out some of the next topics. And we're gonna do English session on Friday mornings, and then the first Friday of each month, as long as I'm here. And then we'll do a Spanish one in the evenings. And so we started mapping those out. And so I wanted you guys to know it's there and accessible. Those were my big things for my principal's report. And then I don't know if it transitions you.
Not
Okay.
yet. Are there any other information items from the Go team, such as the cluster report, and other things that will not be, that we cannot take action on, such as the APS calendar, property tax issues, milestones, testing data, facilities report?
There is a thing here for facilities, just to let know of upcoming public meetings that they shared. I do believe we should be hearing something maybe next week as to how they have filtered through.
There's an email that came out.
I think it came out
Refined.
today.
Okay.
There have been 2 more public meeting dates added. Next week on September 24th at 6 p.m. and on September 25th at 12 noon. Those are both Zoom meetings. If you just Google APS 2040, that's the easiest way to get all of that information on the facilities. And so that already has those new meetings on there, and registration is over Zoom. So you can go ahead and register for those if you want to attend them.
Did they say they'd be releasing another iteration?
Yeah,
of
I think
the
that
plan?
is the point of those meetings,
Yes.
is my understanding.
Yeah, I believe that there's supposed to be something coming out next week to help
Yeah.
us know kind of where they're starting to land, but then they'll start having more. And they said they'd work more directly with the schools impacted, and we know it'll probably be us.
Kelsey, has there been a cluster Go team meeting?
No, not yet. Mm-mm.
I don't even know if we have them on our calendar yet.
I haven't seen anything yet. The only one is the everyone together on that Saturday, but there hasn't been, as far as I know, a release of dates for the cluster meetings.
They asked us to share the leveling and budget information. Is that anything in there?
It's not in here.
Okay.
The next thing would be public comment.
All right,
If
before
you-
we get there, let me share this because I think this is probably still part of the principal's report.
Mhm.
They wanted to share the difference in budget. And so our projected enrollment was at 792 on the 15-day count. We were at 805, which was a difference of plus 13. That gave us an additional change of $77,506 for those 13 babies.
Mhm.
Our reserves came back to us, and the reserves at the time ended up as 170,286, which gave us a net total of $247,000 dollars that returned to our budget. And this was when I looked back at the February 2025 meeting, what you guys had set aside for reserve is to continue, it was just kind of a lot of things. And so, but the thing I focus on is add additional teachers to staff, but they were focused on part-time. And because we had the extra little bump, what I added, this is the actual change sheet, is I added that EIP teacher and a parapro, and that was the salaries at that time. And then we added some professional development time. This is for SAM, and SAM is a leadership tool that helps to prioritize instructional time. And then this is where I had added in funds for field trips, but our foundation has offered to let me return this back to like supplies and other things, other priorities. And so it's still set aside for field trips, but the foundation's going to pick that piece up. And then I put the rest under teaching and other supplies because it's easy to move as we need.
Is there a EIP math teacher, like that's a counterpart to Ms. Harrison for reading?
There's a lot of them, yes.
Okay.
Because we have, and when you come to that meeting on Monday or you watch the recording, you'll see it all laid out as
Okay.
to who it's certain, because Miss Harrison's doing reading and math. Miss Chiesa's doing, I got everybody
Okay.
doing reading and math. I got everybody doing it.
Okay. Okay.
And so we're certified, we're gonna do it.
Who gets to use SAM?
Sam is initially, it'll start out as myself and one leader that co-leads with me and we do the training. But then eventually it will become the entire leadership team, like the instructional coaches. At Garden Hills, I had utilized it and was hoping that we'd have some leveling funds to do it. It helps you really prioritize your calendar and so that your focus is on instruction and you don't get waylaid into the busyness of stuff. And there's a lot of training around it and stuff. So that's my goal, is to get it rolling here. I would say by next year, we'd have the whole team on it. And so Kelsey just mentioned the summit. Anybody else planning to go?
I'll be
I'll be there.
Oh my gosh, that'll be awesome. I was like, haven't been, and I didn't make it last year, so this will be my first summit.
They can't.
Yeah, they
Oh, yeah.
canceled last year.
You're
Last
right, you're
year,
right.
the
So look,
online-
I didn't miss
The
it.
online version did not do the same.
No,
Did not do
it
it
didn't.
justice.
They did,
but
they
it
finally
was
folded.
Online.
No, and so
Did
I'm
you-
excited to see what the new strategic plan is gonna be looking like and how we're gonna do it. And so we'll get, I think those of us who are there, the principals and schools will have an advantage moving forward. And so we've reached to the point of questions.
Are there any questions regarding the information or discussion items before we move to public comment?
I guess one question that I had, I may have been thinking about this like wrong the entire time, so I'm gonna ask this question. When I'm looking at the GMAS data, we have Black, white, we don't have Hispanic or Latino. But when we look at the enrollment, it was Black, white, Hispanic, Latino, and then ELO or English.
I wonder
language.
if I'm misclicking that one on
No,
there.
because I may have been thinking that English language learners are Hispanic, but that doesn't,
It,
that doesn't
they're
correlate.
two separate
They're two
groups,
completely
and I
separate
bet I
groups.
missed clicking it when I clicked on them. So how about if I click on it and I'll email it to you
Okay,
guys
'cause
so you
I
can see
just-
it? Because I
was
was doing
thinking
it
about
pretty
that.
fast last night. You guys saw I was
English
sending it
language
late.
Are not, and I just.
Not all of our language learners are
Exactly,
Hispanic, and not all of our Hispanics are language learners.
Okay.
Thank you for catching that.
I
It was
did-
not intentional, I promise you.
Okay.
It was trying to make it fit.
It was like-
Screen and we could still read it.
No, okay.
I kept clicking, can I add this one? Can I add this one? Will it still fit? Because that was a new report that we
Yeah.
haven't had in the past.
Okay.
Will you make sure and put that in the minutes to send with the Hispanic sign? 'Cause I spaced it. Any other questions? Awesome.
We will now move on to our public comment, where I will ask the co-chair if we've had anyone sign up for public comments.
We have not.
Okay.
I was so ready to try it.
As of, yeah, as of 3 p.m.
We have not had anyone sign up for public comment by the deadline, and there will be other opportunities throughout the school year. Do we have any announcements?
I wanted to ask if it's okay. I went ahead and did public comment for the next one when I was filling out on the website, because I feel like as
Oh, yeah.
all this is happening,
Do we want to just go through all of the dates?
and honestly, I am comfortable with public comment being at all of
Mhm.
them. With
I am too.
everything that
Me
is
too.
happening with our school, to say no public comment just feels like,
Yeah, you can't predict when the things are gonna.
yeah.
Yep.
And so if you guys are comfortable, let's just say yes for all.
Yes. Yes.
There might become a time like when we're, even with budget and all
Mhm.
that, I'd rather have the input than not.
Agreed.
So are you, everybody okay with yes?
Yeah.
All right. Plus then we get to play with these buttons more.
Yeah.
Open culture.
Mhm.
so that every was
Yeah.
included.
All right, I'll put yes on all of them. Did you have something else you were gonna say?
No, there's just a party next week that everyone's invited to. But so I hope you all got your e-bites for the Go Team. There's SSE,
Volunteers.
PTO. So.
I just wanted to say that, thank you for being here. And I really like the idea of us, presenting our body of work and who we are. And I would like to help on the Fall Festival Day if you need it.
Okay,
To do
for the
that
Go
little
Team?
tent,
Okay.
if you wanna set up a table or whatever, since I know it's Sunday, but whatever. I know that all of you have families, mine are grown and they're on their own. So, I can help with that if you'd like.
That would be great. We have one more meeting, I think, before that, and maybe on Saturday, we could talk about, when we're there at that thing, we could talk about what we
What
would
you wanted
want
to
to
look like,
have
right,
out
and
there.
have like talking points.
Uh-huh, yeah.
So that we all could say, this is, some displays or handouts or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I love that. Thank you for that.
I have a request, and this may not be, it's about shirts. It's a small thing.
Uh-huh.
I participated in a science event for students at another school, and I was very impressed that all of their volunteers had polo shirts. It just looked very cohesive.
Uh-huh.
Who would I talk to about that if I wanted to? I mean, that's
Do
not
volunteer,
something,
we have volunteer T-shirts, those
Right,
red ones.
but if we elevate it to like a common
Right.
shirt.
I think that would be the PTO.
That's
Is
the
that who
PTO?
does the volunteers, or is it foundation?
Ally
is doing.
Yeah, Ollie's doing it.
Allie does swag.
Ollie's.
She's doing the all SRS.
So just logistics of it.
It's a
Start
PTO.
there.
For
Mhm,
the
PTO.
PTO.
Okay.
mhm.
Unless you want to have a special go-to.
I was thinking go-to
Yeah, we
first.
should have.
We should have special go-to. We were talking about that earlier.
Ask me, I'm on the go team.
Yeah.
Who are you thinking the shirts are for? Like,
And what I observed, it was across all of their, upper level, I don't wanna say upper level, that's a bad word, but all of their organizations and committees. So it was their PTA, their version of Go Team, because it was out of APS. They just look nice. and
Mhm.
cohesive,
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that
I think
would
I-
be the t-shirts.
I think a great question is, I would be curious to know from them,
Who
who
paid?
paid for them?
Okay,
Mhm.
Who bought them? Yeah, cause
okay,
it'll, budget, right?
yeah. They just look really nice. Yeah.
Because we also want to make sure that it's all available to everybody, right?
Sure.
If people have to pay for it themselves.
Got it.
I'm totally for a Go Team shirt.
You know, the district go team shirts.
Oh, we'll see with
They
the
did
summit,
get-
some
get-
place.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
don't
agree.
Picnic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grab me something.
Swag bag.
I say, let's continue with that.
Great idea.
Anything else?
So if we do not have any further announcement, the final announcement is that the next Go Team meeting will be October 30th at 3 p.m. Available online and in person, and this meeting will be open for public comment. We have reached the end of our agenda. Is there any additional business at this time before we adjourn? May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting. It's Ann Whitman.
A second?
I second Ann's motion. This is Elizabeth Zelinski.
All in favor enthusiastically say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And abstentions. The meeting is adjourned at 4:30 on the dot.
On the dot, and that's what I, yes.
Only one packet of
Thank
M&Ms
you.
is all it took.
Thank you.
I am
Great
job.
job.
Guys.
Guys.